Alright, the recording has started. So, how did you hear of FFE?
Okay, so at the time I was in the UK, the United Kingdom, led by Jailmaster. A lot of people know him in the community. He's been around for quite a long time. I I was in the 57th with a for some reason in the UK the way it works was and still works sort of now is that when they opened regiments because they didn't have many regiments to open, we didn't like promote people to colonels. So it was let's say NCOs, which is sergeant majors, adjutants, stuff like that, leading regiments. So there was a sergeant major leading a regiment. He was going to become an ensign, but basically things kept going downhill. He was not reliable at all, and then more or less, Comet eventually, after he sends me a message, I send it, and what happened was the Salt more or less said sent a ping out saying we need new regiments, and then Comet begged me for like a few hours, I think, to try and talk to him. He eventually convinced me. It was a painful process to leave to UK. Yeah, I didn't want to reveal my intentions, but I got out of it, and then 90 was made.
What did you think about 9E as a regiment early on?
Early on, very, very mixed. The thing about 90 at the time was it was very unstable. Both me and Comet knew this well, though. For example, we had many, many connections in the genre. Not big connections, but connections that were worthwhile. Only issue with those connections is a lot had varying personalities compared to what we have. Both me and Comet are known for being sort of workaholics. We love to get things done, constantly working things if we have the time. However, many of our connections were not like that. So 90 Alien 1, it was very skilled. However, it also had many issues.
What did you think of Dassault early on when you first joined? What was your first impression of him?
Very mixed. I could tell he was a strong leader, and I could tell that he was quite a good commander. I just don't think he was used to how I did things. I still don't think he fully is either.
When was your first battle for FFE with 9E?
It was actually the first or second day 90 was formed. If you want, I can tell you more about it because I remember it.
So, since FFE has this semi-disbanded, what do you think is going to mainly happen with all the members with FFE?
Currently, the members who have gone off and formed their own groups, myself included, we will likely stick with that. However, I do know of two other groups that are formed, one being an NCO from 45E, another being a 15E regimental, like Blood and Iron French group or whatever. I expect both of them to fail because they lack both, I say, experience in the genre, and they also lack actual good officers. No, I can't judge that myself if my nation's going to fail or not. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That only time will tell, and next month will decide that.
What do you think is the most memorial part that you remember the most about FFE?
Could this be like anything?
Anything.
I'd have to say like the personality of the people there, very different. I like I like some of the personalities there, but sometimes excluding the first score, well, kind of included, I felt like it didn't really fit in a lot of the time there. To completely honest, obviously, being European is very different because a lot of them are North American, so that's already a major difference in culture. But I felt like oftentimes because we were in first corps, also we were often a bit excluded from a lot of things, so I didn't really feel as strong towards FFE compared to let's say someone in the guard may do.
What do you think of Dassault now after knowing him for a few months and seeing how well he led? FFE?
I'd say I've got very mixed opinions. To this day, he is the best commander I have seen, more or less, in, let's say, the minor nation genre. I'd say that there are probably debatably better leaders though elsewhere. It's really about opinion, though.
When did you become charge of Premier Corps?
I can actually get the date up for you if you want. I can probably find the announcement. It was sometime in, I want to say October. If I look at announcements, I'll be able to tell it a while back. Change of command, there we go. So, February, March, April, May, June, July, August it was. So the 30th of August, like just before the school restarted, for me at least.
What was your opinion on Premier Corps?
Was this once I'd become command of it?
Yeah.
Like before? Oh, yeah. I'll just talk about, to make a bit of sense. Before Premier Corps became command under me, I wasn't disillusioned, but I definitely felt negatively towards it. People who know me well, I am very competitive as a person. Because of that, I wanted more or less the best possible what we could achieve at Premier Corps, and I always wanted to beat the guard no matter what. What ended up happening was that there was, I think, 4 regiments at the time. 90 Swiss, Swiss regiment led by Dio, 21E and 28E. Now, and what happened was, I saw that Swiss was the only one holding their own. They were heavily dependent on Dio. 21E and 28E, I think it was 21E led by Defens. Forgot what the other commander was. Basically, they were dead regiments, so I got Dio to merge them into Swiss. And then what happened after that was I eventually became commander. Because of that, the Swiss went to the Guard. Dio Morales took command of Young Guard, and I was left there. Comet at this time was a massive help to me, but this was my also first real time leading multiple regiments, so it was quite hard. I'd say it's quite an experience for me considering that I've not really done that well in the past. The only real place I've led, a brigade or corps wide or multiple regiments worth is in France, and everyone knows how badly that turned out.
What is your opinion on Comet?
Comet is, I first of all talk as just about him as a person. He's not the most talkative person, I'd say. That's where me and him completely differ. But where we more or less work together really well is our, let's say, work ethic. We love getting things done together, and we both do really well. For example, he's constantly remaining calm a lot of the time. Whereas me, I am wild. Wild just everywhere. So I'm often the guy doing commanding, and he's often the backseat guy. He has got some negative parts about him, but a lot of it cannot be his fault. A lot of it's down to his schedule. He's got a really busy life, so him not being able to always attend stuff in the past, like only half the major battles he's been at, I think, it is not his fault. He's tried, I know he has.
Since FFE is now unfortunately disbanded, do you think that you were one of the key members during its existence?
No, we'll say that again, sorry.
Do you think that you were one of the key members of FFE's existence?
Given that FFE's been around for like 4 years, I can say that I'm not. However, the time I was a part of it, I was one of the key people. I was probably, because I think at the time, more or less, I want to say between March and to the end of it, Premier Corps rally was a major part of FFE, and that was heavily down to, I'd say, mine and my high comms organisational skills, a lot of which I think the Guard somewhat lacked. So yes, so in the time I was here, I think I was a major part of FFE.
It's so hard for me to think of good questions for you that doesn't really make it too biased.
Yeah, I get you.
What did you think of FFE overall?
I'd say it's a quite a good nation. The nation obviously was not for everyone. I'd say it was quite a fun nation where people often took breaks. It was I enjoyed it on a friends level. I never really enjoyed gaming with both Highcom and the Guard that much because we didn't really fit in. I can recall one thing specifically. Agridan, one of my most capable, let's say, right hand men, seconds, or whatever you want to call him. At the time, me, Comet, and Doyen, we were just like frigate. I think, and Corkin as well. We were the only ones more or less in Premier Corps, not Premier Corps, like Nation and Highcom. And the only issue with them is they're all, elsewhere. Doyen's in Asia, Comet's in, North America, I'm in Europe. When Dan got here, though, everything's completely changed because we were somewhat relatable. We had a lot more fun.
What did you think as FFE as a friend group?
Well, friend group, I'd say it was quite a good friend group. There was obviously issues like every other friend group has. I'd say though it tended to got to multiple friend groups. So more or less at the end of it, where it had let's say my section, you also had the guard, and then you also had let's say 15E because 15E, being Asians, is quite different compared to Europeans or North Americans.
Do you have any words that you would like to say to FFE as FFE will no longer exist? Like a final message and words of advice to them?
If you want to go ahead and pursue your passions, go ahead and do it. There's obviously going to be a lot of struggles for everyone that wants to either become an officer, learn how to command, or do whatever. If the genre's not doing great as it is, I don't expect it'll survive another 10 years, but it will survive in a period of time. I've seen people who have been from, let's say, really minor groups, and they're now commanding in NW or many other large places. Just be careful of who you talk to, as not everyone who seems genuine is genuine.
Alright, thank you for allowing me to interview you. I want to stop the recording.